Hey Matt, this is Sean. Just taking a look at your 3 balls bouncing. This is version 2-1. It's not quite what I was looking for, but it's definitely closer to than the first try. So I'm gonna show you the next couple of steps to get this looking good. It's important to nail this stuff down, otherwise it's gonna get harder on future assignments. So, okay. I'm going to start by just making this a little bit wider and making this a little wider. That way I can see. Oh, let me close the door. It's getting loud out there. All right. It's always important to be able to see what you're doing. Okay, so we can tackle this one ball at a time. Well, for starters, you have one really small piece of paper, a relatively normal ball, and a giant basketball. So we want to start by doing relatively similar sizes so we know what we're working with and we can make our scene look like our reference. So I'm just going to do it. I'm assuming it's the basketball is on the right and the paper is in the middle. No, I think the paper is on the left. And then in your video, I think the paper is in the middle. Yeah, it starts in the middle and then bounces. It's hard to see, it's so small. Ah! Okay, here we go. Yeah, but it bounces in front, actually. It looks like it bounces in front and like it has some forward movement. You can see it like hit right here, kind of a little bit. Okay, so, but I think this orange one is your paper. Okay, so I'm going to just put this one in the middle. See, I'm moving the orange one. This one on the outside, so now the positions are accurate, but their scale is not. So, global scale, no, that's the orange one. This one's the basketball. You can always name these two if you get confused. Just add. And then you see over here, it should say the same thing. Control root basketball. Global scale. I mean, it's quite a bit bigger. Maybe not that, probably. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. This one needs to get smaller. Okay. Then we can make our scene bigger. Move this back. Okay. And then you want to take your first frame, now that you got the scale set, and set the heights similar to your scene. I'm just moving this out a little. And then these two are probably closer together. Probably something like that. Okay. Now they should all go and bounce and do your thing. Okay, so First bounce, let's check the timing on that stuff. I think I talked about this over the phone, but here's a video of me describing it. So I'm going to start by where the balls start falling. So this would be, this is like frame 0. It looks also your anim starts on frame 1. So this is frame 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It looks like that ball hits on about 19. This is also 30 frames per second. So we have to change Maya over to 30 frames per second so our reference matches our scene. So we know the first ball bounces on 19. I'm turning snapping back on. See, when I'm sliding this, I'm getting these little points. That's going to cause some trouble. So I'm going to go and set this to snap whole frames. That's the default setting, so we're just setting it back to default. So it looked like this thing bounced about 19, and I found a no V. Let me double check that we're recording. Cool. Hopefully there's sound. Looks like there is. Okay. So since I'm in here, I'm just gonna do some V's. I'm gonna frame this. Figured these needed to be up as well. You just have to let me know if you want me to go over this in person. It's no big deal if you do. Okay. I like to have this in the middle. You see when you like frame stuff, curves look a lot different. Alright, so that's 19. That's this frame. So I'm going to go, that's the up. It looks like we didn't catch the bounce frame. We're like losing some frames. It's probably in here. They're probably bouncing on the same frame, the basketball, and then the paper's almost two frames later. So we'll get the basketball to bounce on the same frame number. And then we'll take the paper. This is going to be the same deal. It is still going to accelerate as it's approaching the ground, so you need to hit that V. And it does bounce. It's going to bounce. It's just not going to bounce that much. You can see if your video didn't have so much motion blur, it'd be more clear, but if you just watch, you can just grab a piece of paper, it always bounces. And yours, clearly, it like hits the ground and then goes way over to the right. But it doesn't bounce very much. It's like maybe this, and it's probably going to bounce a third time, even less than that. Just knowing, having seen paper as many times as I have. It seems odd, but like it is a thing I've stared at a bunch of times. Because it's fascinating how paper falls versus other objects. So this was 19, and it was just 2 frames later. We can go with 3 if we wanted, just to exaggerate it a little bit. Okay. So that's the first bounce. And then I usually count bounces from that point forward. So we know that that's 19. "17 frames. And I'm counting how many times I'm pressing period. I'm not counting the frames on the screen. And usually it decreases in time. So you see we went 19 frames, and then we went 17 frames. So bad at math. 19 plus 17, 36. So 36 would be the first basketball bounce, which was pretty close already, which is good. And then the height, you gotta figure out the height on the basketball. That's the second bounce. And it went to about your knee, so that's less than half on the first bounce. And usually most basketballs drop by half. That's another half. It's probably less than half on the basketball. And then let's just count how many basketball bounces there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least 6. And then a roll. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I just know that the time is also going to decrease. Beat all these guys up. And I'm going to frame one of these keys so I can get a better curve. Put this more in the middle. Make sure that curve decreases every time and gets closer. Okay, that's going to be probably pretty good on the basketball. Yeah, even the last one is even faster, I think. You can double check your video when you get to this point. This is starting to get pretty close. And then I would do the same thing on the other balls. But I'll leave it at that. I didn't finish this scene, but you can see some obvious improvements from what you turned in. So a lot of it is looking at your video and working to use your reference to recreate what you've recorded more accurately in a 3D environment. Alright, cool, man. Good luck on this. Hopefully you take another stab at it. I'll talk to you later. See ya.